Welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we are going to preview the 2025 NASCAR Cup season. There are minimal calendar changes this year. As usual, though, there are 36 points races, no major changes to the playoff format, even though I know some people, including myself, were hoping for there to be. There's not. There will, however, be a bonus point awarded to the driver with the fastest lap in every race. 2025 kicks off the first year of NASCAR's new 7-year TV contract. Coverage is split between Fox, Amazon Prime, TNT, and NBC. The deal is rumored to be over $7 billion. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series kicks off on February 16th with the Daytona 500 at 2:30 p.m. on Fox. Following Daytona, the series will move north to Georgia and the Atlanta Motor Speedway at 3 p.m. Moving up the schedule this year is the first of 2 trips to the Lone Star State, with the first being a stop at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. This will start a string of 3 consecutive 3:30 p.m. start times. COTA will see significant changes this year as NASCAR moves from the full Grand Prix layout to a shorter layout, bypassing turns 7, 8, 9, and 10, and 11. At turn 6, the cars will head left and rejoin the full layout along the backstretch before turn 12. NASCAR will then head to the desert with a March 9th date with Phoenix and then Las Vegas on March 16th. Phoenix will kick off a 6-race run of races on FS1. On March 23rd, NASCAR will go back south to the Sunshine State, racing at Homestead, which moves back out of the playoffs and into the spring with a green flag at 3 p.m. NASCAR will wrap up March in Virginia at Martinsville before traveling south to Darlington. April 13th sees the cars take on the last great Coliseum with a 3 p.m. race at Bristol. NASCAR will then head south down to Alabama for a 3 p.m. race at Talladega. This race will be back on Network Fox in the last of the season. NASCAR will make their second and final appearance in the Lone Star State on May 4th with a 3:30 p.m. green flag at Texas Motor Speedway. Going north, NASCAR will head to the Sunflower State in Kansas. Up next is the All-Star Race from North Wilkesboro on May 18th. Fox will conclude their coverage with the All-Star event. Prime Video will kick off their coverage with the Coke 600 from Charlotte on May 25th at 6 p.m. This will mark the first points night race of the season. NASCAR will follow up the first night race with another night race, this time from Nashville on June 1st. Moving up from its usual August date, Michigan moves back into June with a 2 p.m. green flag on June 8th. Michigan hasn't been in June since 2019 when it had 2 dates. Michigan will set up the first seeding race for the in-season tournament, and more on this later. NASCAR will then head south of the border, that is, as they head to Mexico City and the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Green flag will be 3 p.m. This race will mark the first time NASCAR has had a points race outside the United States since 1958. And the first International Cup race since 1998 when NASCAR raced in Japan at Twin Ring Motegi for an exhibition race. And for more information on that, you can check out the video I already made on NASCAR's 3-year Japan experiment. The Xfinity Series has previously raced at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez from 2005 to 2008 on a similar layout. The biggest difference from that layout to this one is that the stadium section at the end of the lap had not been built yet. On June 22nd, NASCAR will be in Pennsylvania to take on the Tricky Triangle at Pocono at 2 p.m. This race will conclude the prime portion of the schedule with coverage moving to TNT for the next 5 races. On June 29th, we'll see NASCAR's second trip to Atlanta. This time it will be a night race with a 7 p.m. start time. This will mark the first race for the in-season tournament, with it taking place across the next 5 races. Kicking off July will be the streets of Chicago. NASCAR will then have back-to-back road course races, with Sonoma coming up next, moving later in the calendar from its usual June date. NASCAR will then head back east to Delaware for a 2 p.m. race at the Monster Mile on July 20th. On July 27th, NASCAR will be in Indianapolis for the Brickyard. NASCAR will then continue working west for a 3:30 p.m. race at Iowa on August 3rd. Iowa will see NBC take over TV coverage. After moving west, it's back east for NASCAR as they go to New York and Watkins Glen. The regular season concludes with back-to-back night races. First up is Richmond and then Daytona, both with 7:30 p.m. green flags. Daytona will mark the first race on Network NBC. The playoffs kick off on August 31st at the track Too Tough to Tame. Worldwide Technology Raceway will make its first ever appearance in the playoffs. Bristol will wrap up the round of 16 with a 7:30 p.m. race on September 13th. The round of 12 kicks off in the Granite State with a 2 p.m. race on September 21st at New Hampshire. The round of 12 continues on September 28th at 3 p.m. from Kansas. As usual, the elimination race for the round of 12 will be the lone road course race in the playoffs, and that it will be Charlotte. Las Vegas kicks off the round of 8 at 5:30 p.m. on October 12th. Talladega stands in the middle of the round of 8. TV coverage will move from USA back to Network NBC for this race and will remain on NBC for the remainder of the season. Setting up the round of 4 as usual will be Martinsville on October 26th. The championship finale will be Phoenix as usual on November 2nd. Green flag is set for 3 p.m. NASCAR will race at 26 different tracks with 10 getting 2 dates. Those 26 tracks are spread across 20 states and 2 countries. 30 of the 36 races are on ovals, 6 are on road courses, 5 of those are traditional road courses, and 1 is a street track. Of the 30 oval races, 6 are on tracks less than a mile, 8 tracks are on tracks that are a mile long, 9 are a mile and a half, 6 are on tracks over 2 miles, and Michigan is the only 2-mile track. In 2025, there will be 8 races on network TV, 23 races will be on cable, and 5 races will be on a streaming platform. For the 8 network races, Fox and NBC will have an even split of 4 races each. Now for the cable channel breakdown, USA will have the most races of any network with 10, FS1 comes in at 8 races, and TNT has 5. Also, 5 races will be on Amazon Prime Video, including the Coke 600. The most popular start time in 2025 is 3 p.m. with 12 races, 2 p.m. is second with 9, third is 3:30 p.m. with 6. The green flag will drop 3 times in 2025 at 7:30 p.m., 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. both share 2 races, while 2:30 and 5:30 both have 1 race. Also, all of those times are Eastern. Now on to drivers and teams. First up is Chevy. Hendrick returns its entire 4-driver lineup. Amazon Prime will sponsor Chase Elliott for select races. JTG Doherty Racing rebrands to Hayek Motorsports. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. returns to the 47, however, Kroger will not be returning. Sonny D will join Hayek Motorsports as a sponsor. Kaulig will stay at 2 cars, but instead of the 31, they will field the 10, which has been vacated by the Stewart-Haas Racing's closure. AJ Allmendinger returns to the 16, but this time full-time, and will be joined by Ty Dillon in the 10. Richard Childress Racing will look quite familiar as they return their 2 drivers of Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch. Winchester Repeating Arms Company will join RCR as a sponsor to Austin Dillon. Spire Motorsports will have Justin Haley in the 7. He will be joined by the veteran Michael McDowell, who makes a switch from front row. Carson Hocevar will return to the 77. Trackhouse returns both Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez, but they will expand to 3 cars with Shane Van Gisbergen in the 88. WeatherTech and Red Bull have joined the team to sponsor Van Gisbergen. Now on to Ford. Front Row Motorsports expands to 3 full-time entries. Noah Gragson will join the team in the number 4. Todd Gilliland moves from the 38 to the 34, replacing McDowell. And Zane Smith replaces Gilliland in the 38. Rush Truck Centers will follow Noah Gragson to front row. Stewart-Haas Racing closed after 2024. Gene Haas retained 1 of their 4 charters and formed Haas Factory Team. They will field the 41 for Cole Custer. Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing will join the teams that have expanded, adding Ryan Preece in the 60 car. Part owner Brad Keselowski will return to the 6, along with Chris Buescher in the 17. Also joining RFK is new sponsor Kroger. Kings Hawaiian left RFK due to a conflict with their Kroger deal. The charter for the 60 car is leased from Rick Ware Racing. Rick Ware Racing will downsize to 1 car, and that will be the 51 fielded by Cody Ware. Team Penske will return their 3 drivers of Cindric, Blaney, and Logano. Penske is looking to win their 4th driver championship in a row in 2025. The Wood brothers will part ways with Harrison Burton and welcome Josh Berry to the Fame 21. PPG Paints will also sponsor Berry at Indianapolis. Next up is the Toyotas. 2311 will bring back Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick. They will add a third car, the 35, to be driven by Riley Herbst. Joe Gibbs Racing will welcome back 3 of their 4 drivers. Joining the team is Chase Briscoe, who replaces Martin Truex Jr. in the 19. Truex retired following 2024. FedEx, He Gets Us, Mavis Tires and Brakes, and Auto Owners Insurance have all left Joe Gibbs Racing. Joe Gibbs will be adding Campbell's to their sponsorship lineup. King's Hawaiian will sponsor Denny Hamlin. National Debt Relief will also sponsor Hamlin in 4 races, including the Daytona 500. Saya will sponsor Ty Gibbs for 7 races. Legacy Motor Club will look the same as both John Hunter Nemechek and Eric Jones return. Now, on to some confirmed part-time entries. Beard Motorsports will attempt the Daytona 500 with Anthony Alfredo in the 62 Chevy. Justin Allgaier will attempt the Daytona 500 with Junior Motorsports in the 40 Traveler Whiskey Chevy. BJ McLeod will run 7 races in the 78 Chevy for Live Fast Motorsports. New York Racing returns with their 44 and JJ Yaley. Richard Childress will enter a 3rd entry, the number 33, in select races, with races and drivers still to be determined. Supercar driver Will Brown has shown interest in running COTA and Chicago with RCR after having previously ran Sonoma in 2024 with the team. Team Amerivet is looking to run a partial schedule with races and drivers to be determined. They reportedly plan to run 15 to 17 races. Trackhouse will field 2 additional cars, the 87 for Connor Zilic and the 91 for Elio Castroneves for the Daytona 500. Red Bull will sponsor Connor Zilic. MBM Motorsports will enter a car under their Garage 66 name. Chandler Smith is set to drive the 66 Ford. Originally, Mike Wallace was announced as the driver, but NASCAR announced Wallace could not race at Daytona due to lack of recent seat time. Corey LaJoie will run a partial schedule for Rick Ware Racing. Races have not yet been confirmed. Legacy Motor Club will, as usual, field an entry for part owner Jimmy Johnson. Johnson is set to compete in the Daytona 500 and Coke 600. Tricon Garage will field the 56 Toyota for Martin Truex Jr. for the Daytona 500. This is Tricon's first Cup Series race. Chevy will continue using the Camaro body, but will drop the Camaro branding from their cars after discontinuing the Camaro brand after 2023. They will retain the ZL1 branding, however. Shane Van Gisbergen and Riley Herbst are the only 2 full-time rookies in 2025. Now on to some rule changes. Still no public rule book from NASCAR though, unfortunately. Certainly something I know I was hoping for, but also had very little belief that it would actually happen. NASCAR is debuting a brand new in-season tournament. Starting at Michigan and running through Pocono, drivers will be seeded for the tournament. All drivers are eligible. Seeding will be based on average finish. Winners automatically are in. Ties are determined by total race points. The top 32 drivers will be seeded in a bracket-style tournament and will go head-to-head with one driver over the next 5 races. The tournament races are Atlanta, Chicago, Sonoma, Dover, and Indy. All tournament races will be on TNT. The winner receives $1 million. A new open exemption provisional has been added for the Cup Series. This will allow, quote, world-class drivers to compete in a race. If an approved driver fails to qualify for the race, they can, at NASCAR's discretion, be added as a 41st driver. Teams must submit the provisional request 90 days in advance. NASCAR has not laid out any framework for what would classify as a, quote, world-class driver. Eligibility is at NASCAR's discretion. Drivers that are eligible for this will not receive any points or prize money. If an eligible driver wins, second place gets first place points. However, the provisional driver will still be officially considered the winner, and the win will count towards all-star eligibility. Elio Castroneves has been approved for the provisional for the Daytona 500. The damaged vehicle policy is essentially no more. It still technically exists, but is completely overhauled. vehicles put on the DVP will be given 7 minutes to make repairs on pit road. If still on pit road when the 7 minutes expires, cars now must go to the garage. But now they can make repairs and rejoin the race. Drivers can drive their car or be towed to the garage. If a car needs to be towed, even for a flat tire, the car must be towed to the garage. Playoff waivers have changed. If a driver needs a waiver, they will forfeit all earned and future playoff points and will begin the playoffs with a maximum of 2,000 points. Medical reasons will serve as an exemption and will be at the discretion of NASCAR. NASCAR has reportedly reworded the 100% rule to focus on manipulating, quote, the outcome of the race or championship. It seems they simply replaced, quote, artificially alter with, quote, manipulate. What this actually means, I'm not really sure because NASCAR continues to hide the rulebook from the world. Additionally, NASCAR has added a rule for OEMs in regards to manipulation. If found to be in violation, OEMs may lose manufacturer points and or loss of wind tunnel time or RCFD runs. All suspensions stemming from technical penalties can now be deferred without appeal for the next race following the penalty. All other suspensions are to take effect immediately and cannot be deferred. I'm not a huge fan of the fastest lap point, but I don't hate it either. It's not bad. I just think that it's going to be very hard to follow, especially over a 500 lap race. In F1, it made more sense because it added strategy to it and the races were significantly shorter. But with NASCAR, it's not really going to change up strategy that much, I don't think. I definitely feel like there were more important things to give bonus points for, like leading laps or leading the most laps, before giving bonus points for the fastest lap. I'm not a fan of the changes to COTA, as it essentially removes 2 of the 3 best passing opportunities. It completely eliminates turn 11 and also massively reduces the opportunity at turn 12 by making it a much shorter run down to the corner and reducing the distance for braking. Not a fan of taking the Coke 600 away from Fox to put it on Prime. I understand a lot of the complaints about Fox's coverage lately, but it just doesn't make sense to me to take one of the biggest races of the year away from network TV to put it behind a streaming paywall. I just don't get it. Another thing I don't get, only 3 playoff races are on network TV. Again, like the Coke 600, I just don't understand the lack of network TV coverage for important races. Not a fan of the in-season tournament. It just adds more complexity to an already overly complex system. We already have races within races with stages, and now we have a championship for a championship for a championship, because there's now the in-season tournament inside the regular season championship, which is a part of the much bigger season championship. NASCAR wants every race to be the championship finale. They want as much drama in every race as possible, and I'm kind of tired of it. I'm tired of all the artificial drama. Why can't we just sit down and watch a race for the pure enjoyment of racing without having playoffs this, playoffs that, tournament this, tournament that, shoved down our throats at every second of every race? Every race doesn't need to be a Game 7 moment. Every lap doesn't need to be a buzzer beater shot type of lap. I could sit here and name about 10 stupid championship/tournament style ideas I could see NASCAR heading towards with these types of things, but frankly, I don't want to give them any ideas because they already have enough bad ones already going on. Tournament style things like this wouldn't be so bad, but NASCAR and TV partners just shove it down everyone's throats so much and they put all the focus on it. You can't just simply turn on a race and watch racing anymore. Originally, I was heavily against the open exemption provisional, but after learning it's in addition to the full 40 cars that make the field, I don't hate it as much as I initially did. Originally, I felt it was incredibly unfair to remove someone from the race that qualified for the race to replace them with someone that didn't qualify just because they were new to NASCAR. While it being in addition, that is less of an issue. Allowing international drivers to come in and do a one-off race and guaranteeing them a start is good because it allows more drivers to make the commitments to do it, And having a wider array of drivers is going to help grow the sport internationally. And this aligns with NASCAR's first international points race in 66 years. But on the idea of fairness, I just don't fully understand why someone should be allowed to race even if they fail to qualify. I feel like this is a rule that only time will tell how well this rule is. But I still have questions about what classifies as, quote, world-class driver. I would like some sort of idea, but it's also hard with NASCAR not having a super license system like F1. It's hard to classify what would qualify a driver in every scenario. As this gets used more and more, it will become more clear to everyone what NASCAR expects for a world-class driver. Due to NASCAR's failure to give any guidelines and considering NASCAR's usual judgment at times, I can only help but feel at some point though, this is going to lead to someone getting denied that most people feel shouldn't. I love the DVP changes, but towing cars with flat tires to the garage is absolutely ridiculous. I never understood the point of rules to limit the number of cars in a race. I get they're trying to have cars on the track that have been repaired safely, and I know I'm not a genius here, but putting cars on a clock to make those repairs seems counterintuitive to the idea of having well-repaired, safe cars, as crews are now going to rush even more to get those repairs done. But that's just me. Again, I'm not always that smart, so just simply have an official observe the repairs and not let cars they deem unsafe to rejoin the race. I don't understand why we needed to go down the damaged vehicle policy route. Not really sure how the changes to the 100% rule are that different. And again, this would really help if there was a public rule book in order to actually see the changes, but NASCAR loves to hide their rules from everyone, mostly because they don't want everyone to know how much they play fast and loose with their own rules. The OEM rules are better, but the issue here isn't the lack of rules, it's NASCAR's inability to follow their own rules and actually punish people. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. NASCAR needs to start removing drivers that benefit from the manipulation. Or here's a good one for you. Just change the points format. But that'll never happen, as the playoffs create too much drama. Artificial and fake drama, but drama. I guess NASCAR is okay with artificially altering of races and championships, but only when it's them doing it, I guess. And so now, that's going to do it for me. You've heard from me, and now I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the 2025 NASCAR season and the 2025 rule changes? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and until next time, so long everybody.